Imagine this. You quit your job, and that one decision sparks a legal battle that ends up changing the rules for literally thousands of people. Well, that's exactly what happened in this high-stakes case that asked a really tough, very modern question. And that's the big question at the heart of this whole thing. It's a clash, right? A clash between personal choice and a legal duty to financially support a spouse, what the law calls maintenance. The answer the court gave would end up setting a huge precedent in Indian family law. Now, to really get why this was such a big deal, you have to look at this number. Back in 2010, Damanpreet Kaur was pulling in 50,000 rupees a month as an assistant manager. That's a pretty good income. Her decision to just walk away from it is what kicked this whole story off. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty and talk about the woman right at the center of this legal firestorm. Okay, this timeline is super important. Notice that she has her daughter in September 2008 and then keeps working for almost 2 more years. She was balancing a career and a new baby. She only resigned in June 2010, and just a few months after that, the fight for maintenance began in court. So when this case hit the courtroom, things got complicated. You had 2 completely different stories emerge. The judge was basically faced with a classic he said, she said situation and had to figure out who to believe. And this slide just nails the core of the problem, right? Was she pushed out of her job by things she couldn't control? Or did she choose to leave a great career? The entire case, everything, hinged on that one question. So Damanpreet Kaur's argument was basically this: I was trapped. She said her company was moving, but a court order said she had to stay in Delhi so her husband could see their child. As she told it, there was just no way to do both. She claimed it was an impossible situation, so she had no choice but to quit. But her husband, well, he saw things very differently. His argument was that she was a highly educated professional who could absolutely get another job. And here's the key point he made: she never even tried to go to the court and ask to change the visitation schedule. His position was clear: I'll support our child, of course, but I'm not going to support an ex-wife who, in his view, chose to be unemployed. So you've got these 2 clashing stories. How on earth did the judge figure this out? Let's break down exactly how she came to her decision. Justice Pratibha Rani's logic was just crystal clear. First, she pointed out that Ms. Kaur had already proved for 2 years that she could handle a job while raising her child. Second, that whole excuse about the visitation order just didn't fly, because she never even asked to have it changed. Third, and this is a big one, she didn't provide any proof. No resignation letter, no company memo about relocating. And finally, the judge relied on a very powerful earlier legal case. And this is where it gets really interesting. The judge wasn't just making this up as she went along. She was standing on the shoulders of a landmark case that had already wrestled with this exact problem. This quote from that earlier case, Mamta Jaiswal, is wow. It's incredibly blunt, isn't it? The court was saying that maintenance laws are supposed to be a safety net for people who genuinely can't support themselves, not a paycheck for people who are perfectly capable of working but just don't want to. And that's exactly the logic Justice Pratibha Rani ran with. She said the law has to actively discourage qualified people from choosing to sit idle. The whole point, in her eyes, was to encourage people to be self-sufficient, not to become dependent on an ex. Okay, so let's get to the final verdict and talk about why this one case still matters so much today, creating ripples across family law all over India. So the court came back with a really interesting split decision. They drew a very clear line in the sand. Damanpreet Kaur's personal claim for money for herself, denied. But the court made it crystal clear that the child's right to support was a totally separate issue. And for the child's maintenance, the court ordered the husband to pay 10,000 rupees a month. This really hammered home a crucial principle. Whatever is going on between the parents, the child's well-being comes first, period. So what's the big takeaway here? This 2012 ruling became a huge deal. It sent a powerful message against people quitting their jobs just to get maintenance payments. It pushed the idea of self-reliance, it raised the bar for what kind of proof you need to bring to court, and it protected the child above all else. And because of all that, it's now a go-to case cited in courtrooms all across the country. And all of this leaves us with one really tricky lingering question. This ruling was all about her potential to earn money. But what happens when someone who is perfectly qualified genuinely can't find a job? How does a court tell the difference between someone who can work and someone who is actually working? That is the very difficult line the legal system is still trying to walk today.